Hi.
Hi. So everybody, Whitney's here from Women Waken. It's nice to have you as our coffee hour chat guest.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So tell me a little bit about what you do.
Sure. So by trade, I'm a mental health therapist. So I have a private practice virtually. I'm also a nomad, so I'm a traveling therapist. I've been traveling the country for 3 years now, going wherever I am guided to go. I'm sort of doing a surrender experiment where I just receive guidance and then I follow it and then I wait for to be told how long to stay and when to go on to the next spot. So that has landed me. I'm in upstate New York right now and enjoying life here. I am also the host of the Women Waken podcast. So I started Women Waken in 2020. Women Waken is about really embracing the rise of the divine feminine, the return of the divine feminine, balancing the energies on our planet, introducing more of the feminine energies that can help to actually create a sustainable, loving, cooperative, enjoyable, joyous place on earth, which has been robbed from us in many ways. And that's what I focus on in my podcast and in the work I do with others. I work as a therapist, but I also do spiritual guidance. I'm a tarot reader as well, is that we bonded over with my dear friend Amy. Faye
Yes.
is a friend of yours.
Yes.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
we met under the most beautiful synchronistic situation, and we're now good
That's
friends.
awesome. That's awesome. So you see clients in person, like where you go, where you travel all around, or is it more of like you do virtual sessions or a combination of
It's
both?
virtual. So when it comes to being a therapist, I'm licensed only in the state of California. That's where I'm from. And so if I have a therapy client, they have to be in California. I can be anywhere. I can be all over the globe, but they have to be there. But when I'm doing my spiritual work, tarot readings, I can see clients anywhere. And I don't stay in places long enough usually to get clients in the area. I've done tarot readings though. I did a tarot party last week. I put my, something on Facebook every time I move somewhere. I'm just like, hey, I'm a local tarot reader, and if anybody wants to get a reading, you can hit me up. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. And what's basically like your topics of, because I know all of us as a tarot reader, we're not just tarot readers. We all have like a niche or a topic that we specialize in. So what's yours?
As far as tarot or like my
Mm-hmm.
podcast or
No, tarot. Do you have
uh,
like a specific niche that you read towards?
I don't think so. I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh yeah.
I just sort of do readings for whoever comes around and whatever that they're looking for, whatever they're seeking guidance around. I was sort of what's the word? When tarot came to me, I didn't pick it. Initiated. I was kind of initiated into tarot. I went to a party. I was actually at New Year's of 2019, going into this crazy decade, and it was a small gathering. I almost didn't go, and then this girl brought out like 5 tarot decks, and she's like, "Who wants a reading?" And my friend had just brought up tarot recently. I hadn't really known much about it, and I was like, "Oh, I'll do a reading." And she did the reading for me. It was an Arthurian tarot deck, so King Arthur, the Round Table, one of my favorite mythologies. And after she was done, she said, "This doesn't belong to me. This is yours." And she handed me the deck. And so after that, I studied the cards. I started doing readings for myself and then for friends. So yeah, I don't really have a niche. I just, yeah, just whatever people are looking for or whatever comes through.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So now do you bring, I guess what I was kind of alluding to was, do you actually bring the tarot and some of the influences from the tarot into your therapy sessions? That was my question.
Yeah, I do occasionally if the person's open to it. I will say like the more uh out there I get, I'm pretty out there, esoteric, spiritual, whatever you want to call it. I don't think I'm from this planet, if that helps clarify.
I don't think any of us
And
are.
the more, right. And so like the more I get into that, it's really hard for me to be within any sort of conventional structures. So I mean therapy is a sacred work, but when you're licensed, you have to stay. So I'm mindful of only if someone is open to it. And I get lots of clients, mostly women, who are more open and very much like, yeah, let's pull a card on it. I'd love to do that. And if that's the case and they're kind of expressing that, then I'll incorporate it, but it's not like a go-to. It's not like a standard, okay, now we're going to do your session and do cards. only if people express interest. But when I do, people find me through my podcast and want to work with me as a healer or a spiritual guide, then that will definitely include tarot.
Gotcha. And tell us a little bit more about your podcast.
Yeah. So it really is about all themes around sort of asking the question of who we are and who do we want to be, right? Where do we find ourselves and where do we want to move towards? And I'm a big fan of using the example of the micro versus the macro. So the things we see within ourselves, our individual experience is reflected in the experience of humanity. So when we are traumatized, when we've had trauma, when we've had past hurts, pain, when we're wounded, we know that feeling of how it disrupts our life, how it creates dysregulation, often dysfunction within us. And so my sort of catchphrase is heal, align, rise with Women Waken. It's before we go anywhere, we have to heal, right? And especially women, I really believe are meant to shine and share their gifts and be more present and bring their beautiful essence to the world. So again, we can balance out here a little bit. But we can't do that if we're held down by these core false beliefs that are created through early life experiences, trauma, those things that make us believe I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not safe, I don't matter, I'm not lovable. So it's about, a lot of my episodes are about identifying wounds and healing them, working through trauma, releasing that through so many different modalities. I have 2 solo episodes and 1 guest episode every week, and you're going to be a beautiful guest on my show soon, which I can't wait for.
I am. I'm very excited too.
Yeah. And so all the people I bring on are doing this amazing work that's either addressing the wounds, helping someone get into alignment of like, who are you? Like, what is your magic? What are your gifts? How do you get in touch with that after we spend so much time like discrediting ourselves and feeling like we don't have gifts? We align with that, and then we get to bring it into the world. So that's kind of the process that I like to share and encourage in Women Waken, is introducing these concepts, offering some insight, a little bit of guidance, and then having guests who are doing that. But again, I bring it back a lot to what we do individually is seen as in the collective, in humanity as a whole. And I think that's, when we talk about this transformative time that we're in, the new earth that's being created, all these changes, it's because earth itself is ready to release the pain and the trauma it's experienced and to move into greater harmony. And it's the same process that we do individually, right? Unfortunately, in a lot of ways, Earth doesn't have a choice because we've really kind of ransacked her and not treated her very well. And those of us who are empathetic and not from here, we know, we feel it, right? I think we know that we came here to help restore Earth and to stop this this mistreatment of Earth. But at the same time, we're mistreating ourselves. So again, that's the connection I talk about a lot in my show, is humans are unnaturally self-destructive, and that's not a functional state. That's not a natural state to be in. So once we figure out why we're self-destructing, when we start living more healthy and more attuned with ourselves, when a person starts living healthier, they can't fathom being self-destructive again, poisoning themselves, hurting themselves. Well, the same will go with the earth. Once we get that awakening, once we get that higher consciousness, we'll look around and we'll say, I just can't do this anymore. It's not, because right now there's a lot of like, and not, it's, the environmentalism movements, all these movements are beautiful, but when it's just a lot of, oh, we really should do this, we're trying to force it. But I believe that the greatest change happens when we literally up level so much, our energy changes so much that we cannot comprehend living this way anymore. It just doesn't work. And that's sort of what my show is about, is those of us who have ears to hear, we hear this message and we're like, yeah, I feel that, I'm into that. We're going to start really rapidly engaging and connecting with one another and rising the awareness, the consciousness, the vibration, to the point where it's going to be a movement.
Yeah. No, and I really do have this belief that like, and that was part of my training, that, there was a way that during my training, we connected with the chakra energies of the earth, so that as we are doing our service to humanity and facilitating healings and helping other people, we're actually inadvertently also helping Mother Earth heal. So it's really kind of neat. And I think that that might be one component that a lot of light workers and light warriors are not realizing, that as we are working and we're serving humanity, we're also helping heal Mother Earth.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're a part of Earth, right? So uh as we heal, so does Earth.
Right.
Yeah. But that's such a disconnect that we have, right? We're so disconnected from the Earth now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We really moved so quickly into our industrial revolution of let's create, let's build, let's see what we can do, which got really hijacked with greed and the desire for power and control. And of course, we see that everywhere, and that is masculine run awry. Like, it's masculine itself, I think, is meant to support the feminine. It's meant to say, okay, we see that you are the highest, of creation. You are the divine. You're being expressed. You're here to bring the creative into the world to create, and we want to support your creation. But what's happened is we're just all masculine right now for the most part, in terms of, no, we just have to keep going,
Right.
going, 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 and making more and more and more. It's like, for what?
Right.
For
And
what?
it's funny too, because it's like, yeah, I've met with, potential um coaches and stuff, like spiritual entrepreneur coaches, and they're like,
Yeah.
so how much do you want to make a month? And I'm like, I don't. Like, money isn't a driver. And that literally makes their heads explode because they're like, well, what do you measure? And I'm like, I measure how many people I reach. I measure how many
Right.
people I help. It's not, this isn't about, what we're doing is way more than you can have a $10,000 month. Like, I don't care. Like, and people are like that. And I was like, but that's how, yes, I'm not going to be taken advantage of and just offer my services and, deplete all of my energy.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's like, you can't allow yourself to be driven by like those numbers and that greed, or else you're not gonna come from the right place of service. I mean, at least that's my belief.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it is like this tricky line to walk, because
Mm-hmm.
we do deserve abundance, and we do
Right.
deserve means to live comfortably and to explore the things we want to explore. And we do live in the physical world, right? So it's the balance, like as above so below. It's
Right.
like, we're not spiritual beings. We became physical for a very sacred reason,
Right.
right? And on this planet, we decided that you need money. And I think that's going to change. I think everything's going to change. Every sector of our society it's going to have a huge transformation. A phrase I heard a lot in different times was a heart-based economy, where it's
Mm-hmm.
really just like exchanging, like, okay, you need help with this, I can help with this. Like, just letting go of the whole freaking finance structure and that just does not work. It
Right.
doesn't work. But right now it's like we're still in that. So, you know, it is like you need to be able to feed yourself, and that's getting harder for some people, and that's so scary.
Yeah.
But I agree, whenever there's this big push for money, I just tune out. I just lose interest. I just don't have, and I'm thankful, because for some people it's a real thing. We all have our things, and I think they come from early life trauma. The things, whether it's like how you look, or how much money you make, or how much people see you, or what you achieve. But some people are really stuck on that, and it is challenging, because it does afford you opportunities when you make money. But like, for example, when I decided to get on the road, I just knew, I thought, I know I'm not gonna be able to keep as large of a client. I'm not gonna have as big of a practice. I can't. It's a lifestyle to be on the road, and I don't have as much time, and I'm not going to be present to get more clients. And every year, I've made less, but it's my soul work. It's like,
Right.
I'm being guided by the divine. I
Right.
can't believe that it's not looking out for me. And I do think we're going to hit a time where, and I think we all need to collectively hold this belief, that those who are doing this work will be provided for some way, somehow, like that we
Yes.
will be provided.
I just got chills.
Yeah, it's the divine,
No, it's
like,
true.
it's not like, some corporate ladder, where this is a divine expression, and we will be provided for, and it's coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
But they just, it's, certain things have to happen first. And I feel like those of us who are doing this work are kind of in the trenches right now, where we have to have faith.
Yes.
We have to show our faith. Like, I'm going to keep doing it, even though I don't know how it's going to work out. I just keep following my guidance. And then all of a sudden it's just like something clicks, and it's, I don't know. I'm here for it. I sense it
Yeah,
coming.
same, same. I mean, and that's kind of, I mean, and the whole thing is my deduction about that whole, I can't do it for them. Like, I can't do it because fixated on a number is because I used to do that. Like I had
Totally.
several other businesses and I saw how ugly it turned, that all you did was become fixated on earning that number. And then you just kind of, it's not that you do unethical things or whatever, but it's just that sometimes your decisions are guided in that manner
Yeah.
and you start sabotaging yourself. So
Yeah.
that was just one thing that when I started, again, like you said earlier, the tarot was the same way. The tarot found me, and stepping into this service end of it and being a healer found me. And I'm just kind of like, and I've had to take on that attitude of, well, whoever is going to need me is who's going to come to me or who's going to find me.
Yeah.
It's just something where, uh, it's like chasing it is just, it's almost like when you chase something, you're resisting it, you're pushing it away.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's so easy to get caught up in. It really is. That's why it is,
Mm-hmm.
it's a delicate thing.
Yep.
Um,
Somebody
but it,
commented, somebody commented quality over quantity, especially when you're doing things that fill your soul and make you happy doing it, I believe. Yeah, no, absolutely.
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I also have found, and yeah, that's absolutely true, is I'm all about the quality now,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of, who I meet and who I work with and how I, earn money. Because I've also gotten such a strong message that says slow and steady, like this
Yeah.
is not, because I know, obviously this is what I'm doing the rest of my life. I don't have
Same.
anything else I want to do besides be a part of this movement, of this change, of this message.
Same.
And when you think that, like, you're just so divinely protected. Like we're earth angels, we're sacred beings, whatever you want to call us. We are protected and we will be shown the way. And I, like I said, I do think there'll be a time where we naturally receive what we need to build this movement, to build what's happening. But until then, I just remind myself, like, because I've had times where I panic and I think because I travel with my dog and I'm like, I don't even know if what if, can I pay the vet bill? But I just remember, I'm like, just don't worry. Just know that. And at one point I was having to take money out of my savings because I kept some savings for getting on the road. And I was kind of panicking, like the human panic, right? Where you're like, you can't let things go. You can't do it. And I got such a strong message that said, you have to let go to receive.
Yeah.
So if you're holding on to your pennies and you're like, no, but I don't want to let it go, how can you receive with your hands
Right.
clenched? And it said, you got to let go so we can give you something new. You have to, even if it means letting go of everything you have, almost every last dollar, trust that times 10 will come in if you trust and let it go. So I'm really learning to ride that wave of, because we all know that finances are energy. Money is energy, and I'll get an unexpected event and all of a sudden money is taken out and I'm like, ah, and then around the corner unexpected money comes in. So I've learned to not panic and not get into too much attachment to it, and just trust that you gotta let things roll out and roll back in.
Yep. Absolutely. It's kind of like the lesson behind the Four of Pentacles.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that one always gets me. So I don't know about you, but I have certain cards in the tarot deck that some I feel like I know you like up and down, but other cards I never quite can wrap my head around. I still am sort of like, and Four of Pentacles is that, I mean, to me, it's stability in a way, right? Like you created enough stability. You're like, ooh, I got the job, I got the house, I got some money in the bank, but you're like, and it can't go anywhere.
Right.
I guess it's kind of what I just described, right? Where
Right.
you're like I can't, maybe I would make more money if I tried new things, but I can't risk this.
Right.
And, but that guy has to let go of his coins in order to ever get more, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's another thing too, is because he's actually blocking the flow. Like,
The
like
flow.
currency, right? Like money, the other name for, is currency, which
I
has a
never thought of
frequency
that.
and a vibration. So yeah. So there's, that whole,
It's a
yeah.
current. I never thought of
Mm-hmm.
that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to keep that. I'm going to use it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
So,
love
and
that.
that's another thing, because there's a lot of people that argue like, well, what you're doing, you're not supposed to charge for because it's a gift and it's all that. And it's like, but you have to understand that even our ancestors who were healers received something in exchange for their energy. And, you know, they received housing or food or shelter or clothing, whatever it was. There was something that was bartered along the way for the services they were rendering. And that, you know, money in modern times is that barter. It's that currency, you know, that exchange of energy. And after I explain to people like that, they're like, oh, okay, that now makes sense. And it's like, yeah, you know, there's really no other way out there in the present moment, unless you are bartering for services or something like that,
Yeah.
that a normal person can barter with us. It's literally the same thing.
Absolutely. And you know, everything in the universe is in balance. It's in balance. It's balance. It balances itself out. And when people talk about that, when they're like, you know, I don't really know that I should charge anymore. I should do this for this service. And I say, well, if you look at nature, even nature knows that it can't just always be giving.
Right.
Like, look at a tree. We literally have this beautiful relationship with trees where we give CO2 and it gives us oxygen in exchange, right? Neither of us are just giving. Everything has to give and receive, the ebb and the flow. Everything is this ebb and flow of life. The universe breathes in and out. We breathe in and out. Everything is constantly in flux. It's just how it is because it never stops. That would be, if you just gave, it would be a break in the currency. It would be a break in the way that things flow. So it's about trusting that and knowing that it's okay, because kind of like I was talking about before, where sometimes money, you know, you'll have a emergency, you have to spend money. Well, if you do too much without, you know, somebody energetically returning to you, that person has a little bit of an energetic debt. So they're gonna, well, if they don't give it to you, they're gonna give it somewhere else. And that's just an example of like, just trust that it's okay to say, yeah, this is actually how much I charge for a reading. And I mean, I do readings for free sometimes for friends, but that's usually, you know, it's a friend.
Right.
They're giving me, like, we have our own energetic relationship. But I think absolutely that light workers and all of us, you know, we're part of the system too. So we also need to receive and to give. And it also keeps us in balance because we don't want to get a sense of resentment, frustration, you know, because everybody will hit that point. If you're giving too much of yourself, you can be the most lovely person ever, but you can't deplete yourself. You're going to get frustrated and resentful towards people.
Right. And there's even kind of something that I've been delving into recently, where is that there's this light workers wound where, you know, we've spent past lives as healers and we've been persecuted. So we're still carrying on this past life persecution wound that we have to, you know, and that's where maybe a lot of this comes from, where it's that guilt of, oh, I'm charging, or, oh, you know, I shouldn't be doing this as a living, or, oh, I'm not enough, or, oh, who am I to do this? And there's a lot of that going on where it's like, it's almost like self-persecution from past life trauma, which is, you know, a really interesting thing when you start to pick it apart.
Yes. Yeah, completely. And that, I think, is such a big purpose and focus of this lifetime. I think because it's those of us who are persecuted and killed, tortured, humiliated, like all these terrible things in past lives, for just trying to restore, to trying to be more of a divine presence on earth. Hey guys, how about we focus on peace, and how about we focus on more natural modalities to heal and to connect and to live on the earth? And, you know, it's been a long time now, hundreds of years, that people have wanted to fight more than to help others. They've wanted to have power over rather than cooperate with people. And so we were shut down. We were told, like, oh, where's the money in that? Where's the, you know, what are we going to get from that? Where's the incentive? Well, they didn't see it. And so they pointed the finger at us and said, well, they're crazy. They're witches, whatever. We were all told that. And now we're in this lifetime where there's still that undertones of like, people think I'm a weirdo, whatever, that's fine. People are like, that's woo-woo talk. They don't know what they're talking about. We got to get back in the, you know, the meeting room and figure out how we're going to make more money. But the thing is that what's happening is that for so long we've said, oh, you're right. You know, you guys go do your thing. What are we? We're just, you know, because we have that wound, like you said. We're like, well, we were shut down. We were killed, so I can't speak up. But slowly but surely, the feminine, I'm going to say it's the feminine, the women are ready to speak. And we're ready to say, you know what? Just because you guys feel that you're so powerful doesn't mean you're more powerful than the universal source, right? And just because you just deem that this is the way it is doesn't mean that that's true. And we need women to step forward and start saying, I believe in a new way. I believe in a different way of doing finances and education and, you know, healthcare and all of these things. But right now, women are still scared because of that wound. We have a deep generational trauma of I was killed, I was hurt, I was cast out, I was rejected because of these beliefs. But the longer that we're in here and we can see that, yes, we might be, you know, looked at strangely. We might lose friends or family, like I have, like in terms of like cutting you out of their life because you're weird. But you're not going to be necessarily, some places in the world, yes, but for the most part, you're not going to be killed for it. You're not going to be cast out of society. And I think once we really realize that and we learn to find our voices again and we learn to say, I'm getting Queen of Swords energy where it's like, no, now you're going to listen.
Yeah.
Now I have something to say because I believe in the higher good and you don't. With all respect to your sacred creation, it doesn't work. It's dysfunctional. If it was functional, our planet would be in such better state and humanity would be in a much better state. It's not. So I'm here to introduce some new ideas and I'm going to be heard. And we'll only have that fortitude when we heal. Because once we heal, that strength, the feminine strength is going to come up and it's big.
Yeah.
It's big. It's powerful.
Yeah. I mean, and I've been actually doing work on that part, and it is very empowering to let go of that kind of stuff. And there was just something, even with me myself, that like I could not understand why I was so sensitive when people would like make a snarky comment or this, and then all of a sudden, like I put two and two together and I spoke up, and that was like, whoa. And then the moment it just flew out of my mouth of like, hey, look, I don't like what you're doing and what you're saying. I understand you're joking, but like people have been persecuted for centuries for the work I do. And what you're doing is no better than what those persecutors were. And it was just like, it was literally like after it came out of my mouth and I said it, I was like, oh my God, that was the wound. Like I just healed it. And it was so amazing. It was so amazing in that moment. And it was like, okay, you know, I can feel better about this. And I think there is some kind of like, even I think we do sometimes carry it in the fact of where we get in that lack mentality of like, you know, oh, well, I don't have enough clients this week, or what I'm doing isn't reaching people, or I don't have enough followers, or blah, blah, blah. That's almost like some of that wound rising to the top too.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of us go through it, and it doesn't escape any of us. You know, it's really, really interesting. Like, I mean, any of us in the community that, you know, that's happening. But I feel like we're getting more recognition and things are, you know, our work is becoming more accepted, as opposed to the way it was just, you know, even just 10, 15 years ago.
Yes. And it's only going to continue to gain momentum.
Yeah.
It can't be stopped. It's,
No.
you know, it's the rising of love. It's the return of love. There's a beautiful author named Anadea Judith. She wrote a book called The Global Heart Awakens. Oh, you know what? I have it right here. She also wrote Wheels of Life. Anadea Judith. It's about the chakra system, but she talks.
I have that one. I just bought that.
What?
I just bought that.
No,
book.
you did not.
Yes, I did. Like last week. It's upstairs.
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
I love it. High five. That's okay. All right, girl. We're connected. We're on this. We're on this wave together. But I love what she says. She says that humanity is moving from the third chakra, the solar plex, which is like, what can I do? Where's my power? Where's my might? To the heart chakra that says, how do I consider everyone? How do I feel connected with those around me? How do I express myself? How do I give and receive love? How do I work for the higher good rather than, we want to work in unison, right? They work together. But when you're just in that third chakra, you get what we see now.
Right.
Which is everyone just trying to prove themselves to what end?
Right. And that's the thing too, because you're, you know, the way that I actually study and work with the chakras, and it's like those lower three chakras are those earthly chakras. And that heart chakra is neutral because it connects you to your soul
Yeah.
chakras, the upper three and beyond. So, yes, we are still in that earthly, and we are going, and I think to your point, I think, yes, that's the whole transition, is moving up into the heart chakra, which is kind of that neutral zone that is just, a new governor. It moves you beyond that survival
Yeah.
area, you
And
know.
it
There
is
was
sort of
something else. There was something else coming through into my brain
I'll say,
that it kept coming through, and I forgot. It'll pop back in again if it's important.
yeah, but I
But
think
yeah.
also the heart chakra is, it does look at that quality aspect. It's because the heart, akin to the soul, could care less whether you have one or a million of something. All it wants to
Hmm.
know is, are you honoring the life within
Right.
that? And that's
And
what
love. Are you coming from love?
yeah, are you
Yeah.
coming from
Oh,
love? Is what's the intention?
yeah.
Oh, go.
That's what it was. So, it's interesting because the work that we're doing now, you know, I think it's a lot harder for people to turn around and say, oh, it's just woo woo or whatever, because now science is starting to catch up to what we're doing. And I think that's so, so interesting because, especially with like when we're doing like crystal work or energy work and stuff like that, that there's actual now, like I said, I'm saying science is catching up and actually recognizing that there's something behind what we're doing. And I think that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and it's beautiful because it's, and fair enough, there are people who really operate very logically, and they say, I'm sorry, but I have to be able to see it and it has to be proven. And again, fair enough. And
Yeah.
but we do need people in the field of science who are open to new ideas and metaphysics and things that are beyond the five
Mm-hmm.
senses, and they're beyond what, like, the very small box that we've decided life is, right? It's life is infinite, life is huge, life is, all possibilities are
Yeah.
acceptable.
And that's the thing, because it's like, okay, well, we believe in the concept of ultraviolet light, but how would you not, understand that there's other things beyond what we can see? It's not just light. There's tons and tons and tons of things, and that's, another thing where I feel like it's almost like science has to catch up in order
Right.
to allow other people to open their minds to see beyond.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And then I also always think it's funny when things come out where it's like, science can't explain this. Like, science can't explain why people sleep. It can't explain consciousness. It's like, well, why do you think that is? It's because giant concept that cannot, there's no words. It's just a knowing. You don't have to find the, I mean, yes, if you go to the inner workings, you eventually, but it's so big, like, to understand all of consciousness, that human science is never going to figure it out. And that's where faith comes in. And you have to say, just because science can't figure it out in a lab, does that mean that humanity doesn't get to embrace the fact that we sleep so that our soul can leave our bodies and go reconnect and re-energize? We're never going to be able to prove that. But when are we going to start embracing the idea that we don't have to prove things? It's a balance, right? Like, yes, science can slowly catch up, but science moves very, very, very slow.
Yes.
And at a certain point, humanity is going to have to decide that there's enough of us that say, I don't need to prove it. I just know it.
Yeah.
I just know it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I do find that interesting, that, and that's the thing too, because sometimes I will, and it's happened, not even sometimes, it's happened a lot, where like I will receive information, I will write it down, and I'll be like, okay, and then I will go and read something, and then all of a sudden it literally corroborates what I'm getting, and I was like, whoa. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. We're all getting,
yeah,
like, all that, the higher universal intelligence we all have access
yeah.
to, and we'll all get streamed, downloads at the same, like you and I both getting drawn to get this book. It's because, like, there is something up right now with getting more attuned with our chakras, because again,
Mm-hmm.
as above, as above, so below, in the micro and the macro, Earth has chakras.
Yes.
Humans have
Yes.
chakras. Where is the chakra system of Earth? How are we embracing our chakra system so that as a whole, Earth can be able to embrace hers and let hers become unblocked
Right.
and flow?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And I actually did study that as part of that, that we were talking about earlier, that you like connect, you actually like, that was one thing that we did. We connected with the chakras of the earth, so that when we when we practice and we do healings, we're also helping to heal the chakras of Mother Earth.
Yes. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So yeah, so it was Mount Shasta and
Yes. Glastonbury is
Glastonbury. I was just gonna say that one, right? Glastonbury, and I think there's one in Hawaii.
Oh, where?
Um, uh, the island where the fire was, Maui.
What is that?
I'm not sure, but I remember there was one. It's either a chakra or it's a meridian.
Okay.
And then there's
go to Hawaii last year.
Yeah,
to go out
I
there.
did too.
I
was actually there during the fire, so I couldn't get to Maui. I was supposed to go. We landed, and everything was burning. That was horrible.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't Lahaina. Yes,
oh.
Thank you, Mickey.
Okay.
But I didn't get to go to that island. We were supposed to, and we had to reroute the whole trip.
But
I got to.
You're at the islands, you're with the chakra. I mean,
right.
It's, you don't have to be right on top of it to be within that. Because so Glastonbury was basically what it ignited my awakening. And I didn't even go there. I was not attuned to any of this quite yet. I was just beginning my spiritual guidance work. Actually, not even yet. It was later in 2019, but in 2019, I got this draw it was before I even said guidance. I just thought I wanted to go on a trip. I was like, I want to go to the UK. But it was like this emphasis in my soul. But I was just like, cool, I wanted to plan a trip. And so I go, and my uncle lives in London, and we took a trip to Bath. Well, that's on the outskirts, getting close to Glastonbury. And just that was enough that I this sir. And for me, it was the divine feminine. I came back from that trip just obsessed with bringing women together and what women had to say and women's viewpoints and ideas around every single sector of a society. And I was like, what is happening? Where did this come from? And I'm convinced it was that energy from the chakra, but also it was ancestrals that I have ancestors from that area. Because I have, English, Scottish, Irish descent, that they were like, girl, get on it. We're here to there's so many women right now on the other side, or ancestors generational, that are just championing us to come together and share these and know that we're safe and protected this time.
Yep.
Right. Know that it's safe to speak, and that take those bold Queen of Swords steps forward, because this is our moment.
No, definitely. And I had that same kind of visceral reaction when I went to Italy and Portugal and those kinds of countries, because that's where my ancestral lineage is. And yeah, it's really interesting, because it's you become super energized and just really inspired to do something. It's a great feeling. I want to go back.
Yeah, it is a great feeling. Yeah, well, maybe it's time to go back. I just got a message to get back to Europe. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, because I've been very domestic. I've been traveling the States with my pup. But I know that my dog is 13. She has cancer.
Oh,
angel.
So sorry.
And I actually just met with I have the most amazing pet psychic, Alicia Sweezer. She was on my show. She's incredible. And I had a session with her, and she was like, yeah, it's probably, only a few more months, which try not to think about. That's too much to wrap my head around, but it's okay. But with one, because she's a soul mate, we've had many lives together. She's a familiar. We've been dragons together, all that fun thing. But I know that after that, a new chapter begins. And I think it is international. So I'm keeping my ears tuned to where I'm being drawn elsewhere in the world, because if anyone listening isn't familiar with activation points, ley lines, it's real. And it will just infuse you with woo.
Yeah. There's an astrocartographer here on,
I love them,
on Instagram, and wow, I watched a couple videos and my head exploded, because she literally talked about how the astrocartography of the United States and where the ley lines according to the planets of the astrophotography was literally where the trail of those sections of hurricanes that just went right up the corridor.
No.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. And and there's something with Sarasota, Florida is like a vortex, or it has something to do with one of the earth chakras or something like that. So that's like a whole nother thing too. And I was like, whoa.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, all this stuff is so fascinating, and it's becoming so much more accessible and so much more shared and embraced. I mean, there's amazing astrologers and astrocartographers and all of the above, and readers and psychics and channelers. I mean, there's so much information coming through now. It's just, I mean, they're basically, joining us in there. I mean, we're on a free will planet, right? So it has to be humanity's choice to level up, to ascend consciously, but we're getting a lot of assistance because we've had a hard run.
Yeah.
Hard time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I still, like I said, I have more hope this time around. I think that it's becoming more mainstream.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I have so much hope and faith, and I think it's going to get, I mean, I just kind of got this sense, but I'm seeing, like, again, I think a lot of us have been really challenged in the past few years, like a lot of really hard dark night of the soul work, shadow work. But then we're going to have this breakthrough where we're really all I'm seeing us all like flying together. Like we're going to be much more, less resistance, able to soar and collaborate. And then it's really just going to take off is what I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Do you do any, like, do you pull any cards for this hour, or how does that work?
No, we just sit here and chat, and we
Okay.
talk about, I make it all about my guest. So that way, people learn a little bit more about other people in the spiritual community and what's going on. And so it's just a way to bring more awareness to what it is to be a spiritual entrepreneur and what other things are out there, and to kind of pick the brain of others.
Cool. Can I share my new deck?
Absolutely.
I'm like, I want to. So I went to Cape Cod in Massachusetts. I'm upstate New York, and I took a trip. I was drawn to go to the ocean, and oh my gosh, was it ever magnificent. It was beautiful there. I got one bright sunny day and amazing sunset. Oh, it was amazing. And it was here. I want to share the story because it's so important to tune into your intuition and what you feel. So I went to Provincetown on Sunday, and I was like, I'm getting a new deck. I don't get a lot of decks. I try to, especially being a nomad, I have to keep it under control, but I was like, it's time. I need some new energies. And I was like, great, there's some metaphysical shops here. And so I went into a shop, and it was a beautiful shop and had cards, but it was just a no. It was like, nope, this isn't. I was like, and it was like, no, you don't get it here. You don't, just wait. And I was like, okay. Like a kid being told they can't get a toy. But I will say I wasn't connecting with any of the decks. But sometimes you're like, yeah, but I really wanted to get a new one, so maybe I'll do this one, even though I'm not vibing with it. But I was like, no, just wait. The next day, I'm leaving the Cape, and right before I leave, there's a little town, and it has a crystal shop. Well, I'm not kidding. That shop had like 15, like so many decks that I've been wanting for years, like decks I saw other readers, I was like, oh my God, it's that one. And I was literally like a kid on Christmas. I had a pile of different decks that I was like, which one do I get? And I'm sitting with them, like feeling into it. And people are like, what is going on? And I was just having a field day. Anyways, I ended up getting 3 new decks, and they're beautiful. So anyone listening, like, don't forget that sometimes it's a no. Sometimes and we're like, but I want to do it now. Trust if something is just not resonating or shut down, like, just wait. Sometimes
it's not that it's a no, it's just a not right now.
Not right now. And my new deck, it's called the Spirit.
Oh yeah.
And I loved it because there was also an animal oracle, but I already have a spirit animal oracle, and I wasn't wanting that. And I felt I needed a new tarot. I was like, but this is tarot that has animals on it. So it's kind of like a, twofer. You pull your tarot, but then you're also going to get inadvertently an animal on the card that's going to tell you about, some of your process. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I've seen that one. I do not have that one, but
it's beautiful. Yeah. Can I pull a card?
Absolutely. Okay. Go ahead.
I don't want to break the rules or anything, but
the guest.
Who doesn't love a good tarot card pull? Everybody loves it. Okay,
Yes.
we're going to ask for one card for anyone listening now or anytime. For whenever you're hearing, this card is for everyone, for the highest good and your greatest guidance. What do we have? Ah! Woohoo! Oh my gosh. The Chariot, baby. Like I said,
Nice.
things are moving forward. Success, momentum, it's happening. Oh my
Yep.
gosh. If you're listening to this, it means like whatever you're working on, even if it's slow and steady, trust that like your chariot awaits, my lady.
That's awesome. I love it.
Oh
I
my
do like that card.
good.
I do
And
like that card.
it's the rhino. So rhino spirit, which to me is also kind of like, bold. It's like I have a horn on my head. I'm not worried. I'm pushing forward. It's very much like determination. I think of the rhino as like, I know where I'm going. I have laser focus. Obstacles can come in my way if you want, but I'm going to get through it. I am. So
That's awesome. So do you have the other two decks with you, or?
I do. I have one of them. One of them I haven't opened yet, so I'm not touching it. But my other one is an oracle deck. It's the Mists of Avalon.
Ooh, very nice.
Are you familiar with that book?
Yes. Yes.
I'm that's like I'm not really into fantasy that much, but like that something about King Arthur. I think it's because I was told I was a queen in Scotland back in the Middle Ages, so something about that like touches my heart. Just that sort of that like European Middle Age, the knights, the kings, the queens, all that good stuff. So I love this deck. It's very beautiful.
Very cool.
And then I'll just show this because it's sitting right here, but I also have my Starseed Oracle that I love.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think, that's the other deck I got that I haven't opened yet, is she has a few.
Mm-hmm.
And I got like it's not Starseed, but it's another Oracle, basically like Heart Oracle.
Yeah, there's something
like following
the one with the rose on it or something like that. It's like pink.
Yeah. I think that was that. But beautiful decks. And Starseed is worth checking out if anyone isn't familiar with that, because you might be a Starseed if you're listening to this.
I actually just pulled one.
Oh!
So the one that I'm using is Animal Guide rune cards. So these are really cool. I have not delved into the runes yet, but I thought this was really cool because the cards have animals and they have the runes on it, and they also have kind of the keywords of the runes. So they're just a little bit easier than like throwing the pieces of wood and then you have to figure out what they are. It has a little bit more information up front. The one that I got was this one. Is it Jera?
Oh,
and it's a little porcupine.
Is it a porcupine?
And yeah, and it says harvest, justice, and diligence. So I guess, it's saying kind of like hang in there, and you're going to reap the rewards.
The harvest.
Yes.
Just, we take our time, we sit back, we admire what we planted, and we trust in the sacred unfolding of life, that it grows in its own time, in its own way, to reach its highest potential. And then we have a beautiful result if we're patient. Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful attribute of the divine feminine, which is my struggle, because to be real, I started Women Waken, but I have a lot of masculine energy. I very much my whole life was like, I'm going to make this happen and I have to be the best at this. So it's taken me a lot to really.
So what's your sign?
Virgo.
Okay. So I'm an Aries.
Oh, wow. So you might really have it.
Yeah. It's
tough.
Aries, Leo, Taurus. So what? Yeah, I am.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh man. How okay. It must be hard to get things done sometimes with like you have a very clear idea of what you want, I imagine, a lot of the time.
I do, but it's always like I'm always starting a new project. Like, it's one of those things.
Is your
Nikki's a Virgo. She's like Virgo power.
I love Virgo. Yes. I love us. As critical our eye may be at times with ourselves, life.
So I actually, that's the whole thing. Like me and Mickey tag team, because I'm like, I get the idea and I'm like, Mickey, and then she'll be like, okay, slow down. Let's take this a step at a time.
Well, okay, first we'd have to make this phone call. We'd have to plan this. When would we do this?
Right.
Yeah. I'm always the practical. It's like, well, wait a minute. Like, how are we going to get there?
Right.
But I feel like that's more the Aries. And also I'm thinking like Sag. Basically all the fire signs. They're like, let's go do this. Let's make, and it's like, okay. And our signs are like, oh my gosh. Okay. But what is like, let's ground that idea.
Right.
Let's see like what the actual steps towards it. But
Right.
you know, we need that vision. We need that exuberance and excitement for things. The creative vision, and then those that can take the little steps towards it.
Absolutely. Yeah, because that's the whole thing. Like I'll come up with the idea, but then it's like the long haul is like, oh, you know, can I just go on to the next shiny thing?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's how we all work in such beautiful unison together. And
yeah,
and that's why, you know, another big part of my of Women Waken is really inviting people to embrace your gift, because everybody is a part of the mosaic that is humanity.
yep,
There's every single little bright light is needed, and yours is completely unique. And so often, like, our world is built that we have like, you know, 10 different colors. And if you're not brilliant in this way, then no one really cares about you. We don't really honor individuality in a lot of ways. And we're all supposed to fit into these boxes. And that's another thing about this revolution we're having, this new shift in humanity, is forget the boxes. You know, it's like we're getting rid of them. It's really been so painful for us to try and smash ourselves into boxes
it's true.
for so long.
It's true.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that I busted out of mine. Like, you know, I don't think I could ever go back.
Oh no.
You know?
Yeah, once you're out, once you got freedom, baby, there's
Yep.
no going back.
Yep.
Yeah.
One more time, where can people find you and what do you do? Just real quick as a close up, and then that way.
Yeah. You can add me on Instagram at Women Waken. I have a podcast, Women Waken. You can find that Apple, Spotify, anywhere. And I do healing work. I'm a spiritual guide and I'm a tarot reader. So feel free to reach out and connect. I love to do chats and have phone calls and see how I might be able to collaborate or work with somebody.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you again, Whitney.
Thank you so much for having me.